Hello everybody, Rockley Smile here. I've got a special gift for you. As I've mentioned, I'm trying to do all kinds of new content on the channel, and this is a particularly special moment for me in my life that I'd like to share with you. Today, as of midnight, and it's already, 50 pounds, I've been setting up stuff, the new album from Between the Buried and Me comes out, the sequel to possibly my favorite album of all time, Colors 2, is here. I mean, I don't know to what degree it's a sequel, but it's called Colors 2, and I know that there are some motifs that carry between the two albums. But I'm gonna listen to this, and I'm gonna have reactions. And if you'd like to listen along, that's why I've put the time code at the bottom. You can basically just follow by listening through yourself on Spotify. And well, I'm not gonna play the music on my end because I don't want to risk any content ID matching problems. But basically, that's how it's going to go. I'm going to count us in. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, and then we're both going to press play on the first track, which is Monochrome. Oh, man, this album means so much to me. I listened to this album, the original album, Colors, like 1,000 times. I honestly changed the way I looked at progressive metal, made me get into this band in particular, Between the Buried and Me, which is among my favorites now of all time. These guys in Protest the Hero and Periphery are like my 3 favorites. I actually got to see them live. It was so hype. It was like one of the greatest nights of my life. I know, we all get attached to music sometimes. And this, you only get one shot at your first listen to the album. I thought I'd commit it to video with you all. You'll see my genuine first impressions, of course, minus the 2 tracks, the singles that were already released, which was Fix the Error and the other one. Revolution and Limbo, I think. I only listened to them a couple of times, so I didn't want to blow out my expectations or anything, and I also didn't think there were this many tracks on the album. It turns out there's freaking 11? 12? 12. That's wild. It's a 12-track album, an hour and 18 minutes. Colors 2, everybody. I'm so hyped. Let's press play in 3, 2, 1, go. And if you didn't sync up, like, you just, follow with the code at the bottom. Always a very important part of any of the second era Between the Buried and Me albums to start with a very emotional, often piano theme. These tend to wrap back into themselves. I'm just turning the volume up in my headset a little. And I'll go on and off here. I'll sometimes comment, I sometimes won't. You can turn me up or down independent of the music if you like. It sounds nice, sounds crisp. Little synth jangling in my ear, that's nice. Oh. All right. If I was being very critical, I'd say that I could have kind of seen that coming, but, like, this is how we start most Between the Buried and Me albums since Colors. And I'm very okay with that. There are elements that carry through well. I could talk for ages about this band, but I'm going to try and just stay in the moment with this album. Of course, worth mentioning, the album is Colors, and the first track is called Monochrome, so I think, also ties in there. Oh, spicier kicks than I was expecting. This is a higher energy start out. Oh. Oh, that's nice. Okay. We're approaching... Okay. Okay. This is less of a throwaway first track. It's not just a motif. Throwaway is a strong word. They're all part of... They're important compositional elements. But they don't usually get into the meat of it, which makes... We're probably going to transition straight in to the double helix. We're just going to go straight in, I bet. So we start this album, we start on track 1. Every time. Sometimes when I'm driving, I just start on track 2, because it's like, oh, I love the starts, but like, just want to get right in there. Yeah. Oh. Oh. The squeal harmonic sounds so nice. Right. Oh, this feels like the beginning of Colors. It's got some swing to it. It's got a little groove. Very heavy this early in. I love it. This is a very strong start so far. And we've got a long way to go. We've got track 5 is an 11-minute song. Track 3, well, I've heard that one, is 9 minutes. Wow, this is way heavier than I thought it would be. You know, I've worried they've waffled a bit toward lighter progressive tendencies since Coma Ecliptic, but there's not been a ton of examples, so this is the next example of where they're going. And I'm happy to hear that they're still staying pretty firmly in this department. This is where I like to be. Not that I don't like the other stuff too, I do. I like it all. This band it has range. But this gets me hype. These are the patterns that feed my brain. What's going on there? Is that clapping? I don't know what I thought I heard snapping or clapping in the midst of that percussion. Might have been mistaken. Okay. The guitars are nicely complex here. Okay, cool. That was dense. I love dense bits like that. Parallax 2 is my other favorite album. I like every album to some degree, but Parallax 2 is flippin' dense when it comes to riffage. Oh, this is cool. Oh, it's very, like, creepy dream feeling. Oh, this riff's so good. I love when they decide to go heavy into dissonance. Oh, I like that. It loops into itself in a kind of an off-timing way. I appreciate it. It's not super difficult to parse, but it's like it's a little bit beyond the obvious, which is what my mind needs. I love that kind of stuff. There are some riffs from their albums that to this day I still struggle to catch the timing on because they're so complicated. Or they play just off kilter against something else, and my brain is like, I don't know. So far, this intro to this album is like 9.5 out of 10. I don't even know what more I want out of it. It'll be interesting to look back on this too after I've listened to this 100 times and go, this is what I thought about this as of the first day I listened. I don't usually get the opportunity to do that. So wrapping up on Double Helix. Oh, the word's cut off there. It says the Double Helix of Extinction. Cool. This feels between the Buried Me, but it feels different. It's a bit coma ecliptic, but still not quite. Every album's had its own identity. So where do we go from here? That was a very heavy start. Are we going to get breathing room? We're going straight back in for another helping of that. Okay. Sounds like you're carrying the energy on. Oh, right. This is the one I listened to already. I just forgot what the intro sounded like. Yeah, this one's a mixed bag of heavy and light. It does kind of a nice split. It's got a bit of a gallop going on here. And there's our theme. We got the clean and the screamed vocals coming in together. I always like the play how it goes, you got the unclean and the clean vocals sung, and then sometimes you got more of a clean and more of a distorted guitar playing off each other. It's like the two elements together. I will never tire of Tommy's singing. It's so good. And their entire performance live, by the way, if you haven't seen him, is outstanding. I mean, granted, that's a sample set of one from me, but I've seen plenty of other recorded shows people have had footage of. They're really good. I always struggle to decide what you call a section like this. I mean, it's a bridge, but it's like pressure in the direction of heaviness without just being just solidly percussive. It carries the rhythm, it carries the melody, but it's still heavy. I mean, just describing a bridge, I guess. So we're into the meat of this song now. We're going to get to play a bit around now with what we've set up in the introduction. Build on some of those grooves, space those riffs out. And by space, I mean the opposite of that. Tighten those riffs up, chop them up. Oh, it's so cool to get to listen to a new album by them. You don't get this very often. It's a very big moment for me. My brain started to categorize the parts of the riffs that I know I'm going to be humming in the future. I'm like, okay, there's where the bass goes now. See where that meets up. I love when they do those couplets together where it's a rising guitar part and then they play it back and forth like that. Oh, it's so nice when it builds up. I'm getting little pieces of riffs that I feel like I can kind of pull from other albums, like little bits of them. But I don't think I know categorically all of exactly which track everything is from that I could just name them out loud. You just sort of get a feel for things after listening to these albums hundreds of times. You're like, okay, yeah, I remember this little bit here. But we're playing off of it now. It's like a vaguely Spanish feel or something here. I love when they just bust out like a sudden polka or something. You just have no idea where a song's gonna go sometimes. I've even listened to this, as I said, but I don't even remember the specifics, so... I think I might have listened once or twice. Maybe twice. And I didn't listen critically, because I wanted to hear it in context with the rest of the album. That actually matters a lot to me. This almost feels like a section you'd pull out of a Disney movie. This is like something you'd hear in Aladdin. I know it says Spanish a minute ago, but I don't know. I'm trying to piece together an image in my head. I can see Jafar, like, singing this to a snake. Oh, you know what? This sounds a lot like the Deer Hunter. Or Deer Hunter, rather. Yeah, a lot. Oh, I feel like I could even find a song that this specifically sounds like. Man, I haven't listened to them in ages. I used to listen to them constantly. I bet they even have a new album I haven't heard. We've got a minute to riff off that final reprise of the theme here. I'm happy with the spacing so far. I feel like this fits well in the first third of the album. I don't know why I'm listening this critically this early on. Like, usually you need context, hear the whole album first. I'm just going at it. I don't know. So I feel like I've got to talk about something. Yeah, I get this. Colors are fading, monotonous drought over and over. It all kind of fits together. Oh, right in again. Now we're on for Fix the Error. Now this is the other single, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't absolutely love this the first time I heard it. I get the gospel influence feeling to it. I get it. I don't love it, though. Although it gets better. I mean, for me, it does. This is all subjective, of course. And ultimately, over many listens, I'm sure that I won't even think twice about this ever again. It's just the first reaction. I'm like, okay, I don't know. Great bass, though. Always great bass. Their musicianship is just amazing. And that's a callback. Yeah, this bit right here. The, like, forced choke scream doesn't feel good to me. Yeah, you gotta let it full throat, just let it out. I know, it's just, we're playing with different vocal stylings, it's fine. This feels very punk. It's the drum beat. I really like this bit here, though. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Yeah, this is what I was saying about the polka. Like, they'll just come out with something really unexpected sometimes, just genre fusion mashup nonsense that just sounds really cool sometimes. I like this more than the intro. Even though we're kind of just working back to that in a way. But once the riff expands and kind of explodes into the meat of the track, I think that's where it kind of hits its stride. And it feels like it's got that colors feeling for, I don't know exactly what that means, but it feels like colors. Right here. And what I mean is by here, actually. Yeah. Oh, the harmony of that is so good. I haven't even begun to look into what he's saying yet in the lyrics. I heard the last of its kind. Yeah, that little chunk is my favorite part of that song. There's so much going on right here. But it's very ordered, though, despite there being so much happening. Okay, I also really like this part, too. Once you dig in. Oh. Yeah. That part's great. That's sick. I love that. Not as big a fan of this, but I'm pretty sure this is a... It feels like a vocal reference to something. I'm not sure what, though. That's not their style to do that. Oh, it's got a phase effect on it, too? That's weird. What does that sound like? Really curious how this track fits into the rest of the album. Where are we going after this? Yeah, really, it's just the first third that puts me off. The rest of this track's actually pretty good. I love that. Okay, we built up. Oh, surprise resolution. I thought we were going to hit slam right into the next one. Oh? Oh, bring it on. Never seen Future Shock. Sorry, the track got a little cut off there. Okay. That's like a fusion of a very Between the Buried and Me track, or riff, and then something a bit more straightforward, but in a good way. Yeah, here we go. Noodle it up. Oh? Okay, we're doing the organ again. Okay, the organ is thematic. I thought the organ might have been a one-off. Oh. Very 80s synth in there. Yeah? Yeah, okay. Exploded open. What do we have next? Oh, heavier, yes. Oh, that was really cool. We're gonna do another one, right? Yes. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that just gave me tingles inside. Okay. What even is that? There's like a flute in the background? I think there were like two things hitting at the same moment, so I couldn't exactly tell what was happening. Very progressive. Kind of like a march beat to it. I didn't think we could get here from where we started, but that's the thing with them. They just figure out a way. Oh, this is... I didn't realize this is an 11.5 minute. This is an epic. Yeah. I love those little bouncy parts to tie things together. Yes, yes, yes. I'm so happy. There's so much heavy stuff to listen to. Oh, we're going back to my favorite part. They must have known they hit gold when they found that one out. I see parts like this as almost structural to the song. Like they mostly function in a way to carry energy through. Oh. I didn't expect to go back in again. Floating away, floating away, floating away. I wonder if they started with snippets from the other album and they kind of worked off of them until they didn't have much resemblance anymore. Dude, this album's sick so far. I'm loving this. It's gonna pick up in track speed after this song, though. Yeah, I'm just gonna drive around and listen to this tomorrow. I'm gonna blow out my ears. Okay. Oh, that's fun. I like that. Speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. Oh, they milked it a little longer than I thought they would, too. Okay. What do you say? Trapped in a geometricness? Not giving a fuck? Ooh, that's creepy. That reminds me of that old Red Chords song from their first album, Fused Together in Revolving Doors. I always thought it sounded like Nightmare on Elm Street. I feel like we lost momentum a little bit somewhere in the speed up, slow down bit. Like it carried on. Like I'm very for it. Don't get me wrong. But to get to here feels a little bit like we kind of taken a lot of lefts or something. Also, we didn't really introduce this part of the phrasing yet before. So we're 8 minutes in, we're kind of like just establishing the motif of the song now. Oh, it's pretty though. Yeah, what do you do after that? Let's find out. We're doubling down. Yeah, the pacing to the middle of this feels a bit aimless. But I probably won't think this after many more listens. This is just my first impression. Yeah. Yeah, we need some rim hits. We haven't had enough of that. It's a staple of any album. Broadly speaking, perhaps. I don't know. Oh. Just got a little traction all of a sudden. We needed a little bit of this earlier on. There was a part where there was, like, almost nothing happening instrumentally for a bit. It was just, like, vocals and drums with a guitar solo and then mostly just that. I wonder when they get to the end of this now, is this going to go straight into another song with this motif? I think they might be doing that thing where they sort of, like, put the middle of the track as the beginning of a track, or like, the third quarter of it or something. Oh, we're back to the march. Dun, 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 dun. I can't really place any other Between the Buried Me song that seems like this. This particular moment in this song, anyway. It's like a little bit of a swim to the moon thing maybe happening now. Oh, we're just closing it out. Okay. Fair enough. That song is going to require quite a bit of reflection to pick apart from me. Stare into the Abyss. Track 6. So now that we're working in a 4-minute song framework, we're going to get a very different structure, potentially, unless the multiple 3-4 minute songs end up being 1 7-8 minute song. I feel like we're following a similar format to Colors, to be honest. It's not a huge departure. I mean, we've got like a really strong, heavy start. We've lost a bit of momentum, and the tempo's kind of chilled a bit in the middle. And then we'll see if we finish out, if we go for, hard stop, super heavy ending on this one, or if it's going to be like a big progressive climb, crescendo, fragile refrain kind of situation, which is what they did with, well, quite a few albums, actually. They've done both. What they never seem to do is just sort of end on a song that doesn't feel like an end. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but from the top of my head, it feels like they never do that. Okay, we went nearly 2 minutes into that just to build to that. Very cool resonance as the lead bounces off the bass there. I really like that. Lovely. That kind of classic soft, clean vocal against a bit of a could this go chuggy suddenly kind of riff. Okay, we're going epic with it. Climbing, rising, building. There's actually a... I'm going to say it wrong. Haken riff. That sounds a lot like this to me. Great band as well. Okay. This song's identity feels a little bit lost to me in the scope of this album. A lot of cool stuff in it, but it feels structurally confusing. Was this our Viridian? I don't know. This is either just going to end, and then that's going to be the end of it, or this is going to carry straight into the next song. Okay, it's one of those. Okay, so this is two songs put together. There's an A and a B side. From Stare into the Abyss into Prehistory. Track 6 to 7. That changes everything, the fact that it's basically stitched together. Now suddenly the composition has room to breathe and kind of build again. Oh, this is cool. Oh, that was crisp and clean and very articulate. Well played. Oh. Unexpected dissonance there. I wasn't seeing that coming. Sometimes just from watching a lot of videos of them playing, I can see in my head Blake just like grabbing the cymbal between each hit. Oh, we're doing a Looney Tunes. Oh my lord. I could have done with a little less of that. Just because it's like, it feels like a Wilhelm scream. It's like it really stands out compared to the rest of it. I mean, I know this is not a new thing, but that might have been some of the most of those kind of silly sound effects I've heard them ever use. I'll get over it. I could just feel that as it was coming out. I was like, oh, I know where this break's gonna be. Well, it's not like they didn't telegraph it. It's just part of the way the riff works. So now we're going to go into Bad Habits. And this is another 9-minute song almost. Yeah, this was cool. Dun -dun. Something like that. Not at all. Oh, we're just climbing immediately. Oh, they did do a da-da-da-da. It almost has like a folk guitar vibe going in there. I know it's a bit King Crimson as well. Yeah, this is very prog. Oh my goodness. I say, oh my goodness, not like I'm bothered by it or anything. It's just like, it was very, almost on the nose. They're doing a lot of these very skittery kind of constantly moving riffs. Like an ambient panning effect of there always being an interplay of the guitars in the top and the back of the mix. And now there's chugging, and it's not even front and center. Oh? I felt like we built up to something there and just kind of let it go suddenly. I wasn't expecting a clean sung vocals part at all. Almost like a ballad thing going on there. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's nice. Immediately went to like dim ignition. I don't know if it's they're playing with the composition so much or they're being a bit random, but I feel like that wasn't where where the solo was meant to be. Maybe they're just being extra jazz about it. Although to be fair, sometimes they do 2 or 3 solos, so sometimes a solo is actually leading into a newer riff. So it's more like a bridge solo. What is this from? I know this riff, I just can't place which song it is. I'm gonna assume it's from Colors, but I can't remember which song. Oh. Death metal church, suddenly. I guess that's kind of undergirding a lot of it, isn't it? I like this. Very Parallax too, actually. I don't know where the downbeat is. It keeps changing. Man, this is a meaty album, huh? Still got a bunch more tracks to go, and it feels like we've already listened to over an album's worth. That's cool. Oh, what is that? It almost had like a... I don't know how to describe that. I almost want to go back, but I don't want to mess with the timing now. It reminds me of BPM, actually. That crescendo when you kill a boss. That's what it was. It's almost this heroic superhero thing sounding to it. With the really cool, epic guitar chorus thing happening. Choral, I should say, not chorus. It's so weird to me that they made it be Revolution and Limbo and Fix the Error, the third and fourth track off the album, are the singles. They didn't feel very much like singles to me. But I guess all that a single needs to be is just, you know, released by itself, technically. This is cool. You know, maybe this is what I've been missing a little bit. There's not been a lot of emotive kind of connections to the songs that I've felt yet. But this one I feel a bit that, going in that direction. Sleep on, fly on. Oh, that's the start of the next track. Oh. What? Oh. Okay, we're going back into, like, King Crimson. Oh, this is a good groove. It's a very jangly album, isn't it? It's got a lot of twinkly, jangly riffs. Oh, wow. What the hell? I don't even know what that was. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, it's like melting into synth and opening up at the same time. There's a very 80s vibe to a lot of this, too. And I know it's not just the synth, either. It's partially the composition as well. And I think it's just all the King Crimson reference in my mind that's connecting those things. Kind of unifies there. Oh, pretty. Oh, that's very nice. I love that. That chord progression, that resolution is so satisfying. What the hell? It's like Sonic the Hedgehog. This might be the most interesting song so far to me. Compositionally, it's just kind of, it's in doing a lot of things at the same time, but I like it. And it feels surprisingly cohesive, too, for how many different things it's doing. Can we go heavier? Take me another level deeper. I want to let it loose. We got the Beyblade. Let her rip. Let her rip, bud. I feel we've been jamming on this riff for so long, I just want to double it. Okay? Yeah. We're doing jump rope now. There'd be a lot of really odd images if you just still frame me. Okay, I think we've reached our fever pitch, actually. Or... I spoke too soon. Yes, give it to me. Give it to me. Yes! That's what I was waiting for that. Exactly that is what I was waiting for. I could hear this happening in my head before it happened yet. Kind of weird, but I'm into it, sure. Can we do one more heavy bit before it ends? Give me it. Oh, we're gonna go weirder. Frazzle it up. I was hoping we'd triple down on the heavy. Or maybe we will on the next track, who knows? Maybe just keep the same... Yeah. I don't know, we kind of built this up for ages, though. Maybe... Oh. Okay, we're free. We've been released from that rhythm now. Thank you. I mean, it was awesome, but also... Yeah, okay, it went on for a bit, so we should probably try something else now. That was fun. I want to listen to that again. I need to draw the through line in my mind of how we got from point A to point B on that. A lot of synth. I say that as if they don't have a lot of synth on all their albums. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Maybe it's more prominent synth. It's more, central to the themes. No, I don't think that's true either. Just talking a lot of shit, really. Sorry. Just kind of waiting in space for the next thing to happen here. Yeah, it's happened now. Movement. Turbulent movement. Storms. Yes. Yes. Give me more of that. Give me more of that. Oh. It's okay. I think this will pay off on the next go-around. If I were to guess. We're going to build up, and then we're going to go back to a dun 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 dun, and then it's going to go batshit. This is pleasant. Yeah. Okay, we're back. Okay, yep, we're getting a little malice sound to the riff. Oh. Oh, you're just... you. You're winding me up there, BT Bam. They're doing it on purpose. Third go-round. This is still very pretty. I'm so preoccupied by when do we get to the heavy bit, though. It's so lame. Oh. That was kind of a weird one-off. Oh, it's not a one-off, okay. I couldn't hear, like, any of the lyrics, because I was talking over them. Yes. Oh? Dun 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 dun. Yeah. You're not gonna blue ball me on this, are you? No, right? Huh, that is not the way I thought we were gonna get to that. I guess the way I had in my head was too obvious anyway. Dun, 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 dun. That was 9 Inch Nails right there. That was off the Fragile. I mean, not literally, but like really evoked the feeling of a particular song from the Fragile that I used to really love in high school. Oh, the Closed Off Circle. I remember that. You think we're gonna have a White Walls Redux? Oh. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a little more 9 Inch Nails vibe, actually. That was working. Maybe lean into that. Okay. Transitional track. Sfumato. That is an art term. And I'm blanking on which one it was. Something about shadows in 3D space. Or was that chiaroscuro? Or was that clouds? Fog in the distance? I bet some music theorist is gonna, like, take apart every note on this album and see how it compares to the original colors to see what kind of themes carry through beyond just, like, a cursory understanding of it, like, to really get into it deeply. This feels like closing song. Oh my lord, it's 16 minutes long. Okay, it is closing song. Certainly must be. Yes. Oh, that said 15, didn't it? I thought that was a 6. Alright. Yeah, it's got a White Walls feel to it, actually. It's that staccato picking against a rhythm like that for some reason feels impactful. It feels really powerful. Wow. Wow. Wow, that was like a huge height we just climbed in no time. This feels more like the beginning of the album now. We went on a really deep synth trip for the second, third. No, it was like the first third and then everything up until here. Oh, this is nice. Oh. I really like that. Yes. Oh, it's dense. Oh. I love that they don't stick with the same patterns of palm mutes either. Like, they mix it up to make sure it doesn't get monotonous. That sassy now. Okay, I was expecting us to hit a big thematic crescendo there, but we've gone back in again. That's because we're dealing with a compositionally ridiculous 16-minute song. Lush bass as always. So far, this might be, like, pretty much right on track for exactly the type of thing I want out of this band, honestly. Like, this is some of my favorite compositional style. Very dense, very heavy, complex. I can't wait to deconstruct this. Is that how it's going to open up? Yeah. Yes, it is. We gonna bring back the first track? Or the first and second track? Day in, day out, something like that in there? Where did those 5 minutes go? Oh my lord. We're 1/3 through this now. Yeah. Back for seconds, please. We're laying the foundations. Oh, this could be blistering. Okay, I like that. It's like, it's weirdly spacey for what they're doing. Okay, we're gonna do jazz stuff now. With reverb. That was an awesome explosive moment, but I feel like it wasn't earned properly, maybe. I don't care. It's good. Wow, wow. That's cool. So much jangling. Am I wrong that it feels like they're kind of more all over the place with their sound this album? I know they always do quite a bit of it, but I feel like just there's not really like a foundation to rest on as much. Whereas I feel like Parallax 2 has more cohesive guitar sound that I feel like we come back to a similar feeling a lot. Whereas this, if there's a similar feeling, it's kind of like 80s progressive Rush, King Crimson jangly feeling. Like they're changing up their tone, they're changing up their reverb, they're changing up, various filters on top of it. But maybe this stuff will melt away on multiple listens. My brain just picks stuff out sometimes and focuses too hard on it. That's nice. I'm not sure it needed the rim shots. It was actually kind of a nice, somber, relaxed moment, and I feel like that took it out a little bit. Yeah, this is very good. There hasn't been much of this, actually. We've kind of removed a lot of the artifice, and it's just kind of playing now. We're just not really going deep into themes. Very pretty. This feels more earnest, more humble, I suppose. They're just such good musicians. Sometimes I feel like we don't need so much stuff on top of it. You have very white walls again. I think it's like, is it actually the riff, but like a little bit mixed up? There's like another layer that's affecting it in a way that I can't tell if it's just actually the same riff. Oh, I like that. Oh, I know that. That particular chug pattern, I'm pretty sure, was off of Colors. I think it was from prequel to the sequel, actually. I think this is like Dark Souls 3 remixed Colors. Like, everything mashed in weird ways that you don't expect. I think there's been a common kind of frustrating element of lack of building movement for me. We establish momentum quite a bit, and then we kind of abandon it for things that don't really seem to pay off later. I can't tell if that's just a first listen problem or if I'm actually putting that together yet. I mean, this band is always very focused on creating albums that are cohesive albums, so I know things, you know, build up and pay off. That's kind of what I'm used to. And it seems they keep that sense of flow pretty much through everything. But there's been a lot of starting and stopping here for me. Now we're approaching last minute territory. This is sort of a somber, quieter finale than I'm used to. Okay, it soars a bit there. I don't know why I'm expecting everything to play out the same way. I feel like I just finished Mega Man 2 there. Wow, that is very not the way I expected that to end. Huh. They kind of did the thing I said they'd never do. I mean, I think this was sort of an attempt at a soaring crescendo finale, but it didn't feel like it hit the highs that it needed to, or it reached the momentum to really build toward that big moment. So that's the end. I think my first impression is there are some very good bits in here, but maybe a bit of an over-reliance on synth. But also, it's my first listen, so after 20 more of those, I'm sure my perspective changes. It always does. And things that really stuck out at me sort of blend together. And you have to also keep in mind, these guys have listened to this stuff like probably 1,000 times as they're putting it together. And stuff that sticks out at me is, you know, who am I? I don't have an ear the way they do. I'll figure it out. I'm sure a lot of the decision-making process that went into this is much more sound than it appears to me at first listen. So you have to give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit there. So I guess my takeaway is there are some very strong elements to it. I don't know if it lived up to colors the way that I have high expectations from the first. And that's okay. But I also need more listens as well. Yeah, the momentum thing was really odd. But I wonder if it's just I need to keep hearing it and then it'll make more sense. A couple of really heavy bits. Went in really hard at the beginning. I think what I need is to just listen while I'm driving, and then I won't be paying super close attention to the composition style, and it'll start to just make sense. That being said, even if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. It's just an album. I generally liked it. My first listen score would be like a 7.5 out of 10. And then in another couple weeks, I'll probably bump that up to an 8. There was a lot in the middle that I'm just not sure about yet. And then it left me feeling a bit high and dry. Like, there were a few moments where I was like, is this building up to something? And it never really got there. Yeah. Anyway, that being said, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for accompanying me through my very first listen of Colors 2 by one of my favorite bands in the world, Between the Buried and Me. I hope you enjoyed it yourself. I hope you enjoyed the album yourself before you listen to me yap over it. Because that's the other thing. I've been talking over most of this, which is probably not great for my listening ear. But, you know, I can multitask to some degree, so probably wasn't too bad. All right, that's going to be that. Thank you for joining me on this today. And I have this lovely setup now, so I could pretty much just do this same thing for any album I so choose. I don't really have another album in mind, but maybe when the new Every Time I Die album comes out in October, I can have opinions of that as well. And if they include most of the singles they've been already putting up, like AWOL, those are really good songs. This new album by them might be amazing. Although the most recent single they just put up, I was not as into, but it was a very different sound to the other three. Anyway, yeah, it's been fun. I hope you enjoyed me trying other things. And if you enjoyed this experiment in content, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. Leave a like if you like. I appreciate it. You know, the more likes, the more people find this stuff. And I thought it could be just an interesting thing to have as, even for my own archival sake, a record of my having listened to this the first time. I think it's kind of a cool concept. Yeah, maybe I'll revisit this one day and I can go, oh my god, what did I think of this then? All right, thanks for watching, folks. Have a good evening or rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!